So now that it's running on starting fluid or brake clean, I'm gonna make it actually run on the proper fuel system. This is a different day, so I was able to go and get a bunch of parts. And well, last night I had some fuel line laying around, so I did run new up to the pump, which is right there, and just gonna have the output just squirt on the ground. Tried to prime it on both sides and it wouldn't take fuel. I cleaned the tank out, put a bunch of diesel in it, let it kind of do its thing. Went in there with I think that piece of random brake line or whatever that is. Tried to clean it out. Didn't really do the best, but it's better than not doing anything. Put 5 gallons of fresh gas in it, and yeah, didn't want to take it, so went and picked up a pump. And I'm gonna first start by putting the pump on, but I'll go over my little list of stuff I picked up. I was gonna just use the used pump that was on my other engine, but the pump was like, well, all of this was like 50 bucks, maybe less. So new oil, some mystery oil, oil filter, fuel pump, air intake cleaner, and the valve cover gaskets, because I do have a better set of valve covers I want to throw on this, because these ones are just pretty crusty and I have an aftermarket set on that extra engine. So I'm going to start by swapping that pump out. Also, since I'm probably going to be running it for a little bit, I am going to change the oil now. I'm going to do that before I mess with the carburetor at all. All right, oil's changed, pump's on. Didn't do carburetor stuff yet. Air filter I got was wrong, just too small. I'm ordering stuff because you can't get things for this, so I'm just using an 85 Dodge Ram because that's what I used to have and that's what this engine is in. So that stuff works, but air filter was just way too small. Also, I'm having issues because this spring is broken. Just need to get another one. I'll probably take that one off and go to a place and get one made, but just need to kind of get this in the right position where it wants to kind of stay, because that one is adhered but this one is not. So just it was staying there for a while and it's just starting to get a little unhappy. So I'll see if I can get this to drop down, that I can key on, shoot some brake cleaner at it, which everybody loves, nobody loves, and I mean, works for me. So get it to fire off on that. Hopefully it pumps fuel up and it'll stay alive and it doesn't flood itself out. Well, got it to run on its own. I don't know how well you can hear me, but I was able to choke it down, get it to kind of gently idle. Definitely needs played with a little bit, but it's running on its own. Now that I got to idle on its own, still not idling the best, but I'll play with that. The choke cable is this kind of rusty red looking one because it's rusty, and I shot it with red like that lube. It's actually over there. Nice stuff. So I shot that all over it. It moves, it idles a little bit better. All the adjuster screws move, so I'll just get it figured out. So now I'm starting to mess with the throttle linkage. I gotta figure out where this guy goes because it had some rust on it, so I'm not too sure if it went to an old panel because a previous owner started making a patch panel. I did hang that part there. There's the, can't really see, there's 2 bolts in there that drop down through, so that was fun to do. So I'm starting to mess with getting the throttle linkage working, and if that works, then I'll get idle better. There's like a little hatch that I can play with it through, just kinda, and I'll get it to idle on its own, and I want to see if I can get it to just roll barely, because I do still have to play with the rear end because he was doing brakes and stuff. So there is only 1 bolt on each side holding the axle in, which I'm not afraid of that, just leaking a little bit. But I'll probably just get those tossed in it, and then it needs the whole brake system gone through, and I want to do that inside where I can make all new brake lines and get everything bled out. I did figure out how the system actually works, kind of. So there's basically a little master cylinder there that then sends fluid pressure back to this part of the master cylinder. And then when it gets pressure, both sides of the diaphragm has vacuum pressure on it, When this is activated, I think it will then drop the pressure on this side, forcing the diaphragm over, applying the brakes and setting fluid pressure through the whole system. And then there's, I think this guy's the vacuum line. Not sure what this is, it's pinched off, so I'll have to figure out that more, but at least I kind of got the basics down, because that's a system I'm not used to seeing in regular cars. All right, so I got the linkages all figured out. So behind here, there's a bracket with a pivot bolt that this is attached to. And then behind these two is a bracket that holds the cable. And then I can push it down for gas. Works for now, till I buy a pedal. Well, took a minute, did not want to stay alive, and it has no power steering fluid in it. I'm going to assume no power steering fluid because it had no power assist, but it drove, what do you call that, 60 feet, something like that. Farthest it's driven in at least 15 years. Still lots to do, no brakes, no nothing, just an engine that can move a piece of metal around, but it's pretty good for, honestly, less than a week, how much it's been sitting.